Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classes in Session. I'm so excited today about our guest. This is somebody who's been a huge supporter of pushing women and girls in chess for so long. Her name is Dr. Carolina Blanco. She is a women's international master, and she has been inspiring hundreds of girls over the years at our girls' club rooms. She's been an early supporter of this initiative. Without her, who knows if we'd be doing this right now. So thank you so much, Carolina, for a session that is like really important about how to approach playing higher rated players.
Thank you, Jen, for inviting me to this great class.
Yeah, and why did you choose this topic of beating higher rated players, or like, you know, approaching a game against a higher rated player?
Well, I do think that it's important that, when you're going to play a game against somebody that you think is over higher rated than you need to still play with confidence and just positive that you still can outplay that person. And I pick two nice games that I play in the Chess Olympiad in Istanbul a long time ago. But I was amazed that at that time I was playing somebody who was higher rated than me, and I managed to keep focus, especially in critical moments, to be able to convert into the victory. And it's important to think, especially for older girls who are watching this, that even higher players have good moments and bad moments in a tournament. You don't know. Sometimes they are in bad shape, or sometimes they have fatigue because they have been playing a lot of tournament, and you actually can take that into your advantage. But you have to have your strategy plan even before the game starts to try to get the best chances when you're actually playing the game.
Great. I love that. I mean, it's so important for our young people because a lot of them, when they're playing against a higher rated player, they think that like the draw is what they're looking for, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you were going to show us a win against somebody who was over 300 points higher rated than you. This was at the Istanbul Olympiad, one of my favorite places, Istanbul. I just fell in love with the city when I first went there. And
Yeah,
did you also like it there?
I love it. The food, the architecture of the city, and yeah, I was very impressed with that city as well.
Well, if you want to start sharing your screen, we can see the game.
Okay, so here is my game against Tamara. She was 2,300 points at the time, and I played this game starting with the English opening. I don't remember the whole game. It was a long time, but I just gonna point out the critical position. My plan was to play an English opening, and she uh, she she started fighting for the center right away. So I usually like to play this type of system with any black defenses. Um, so this is just part of the opening, and she went very aggressive on the king side. And me being a positional player, I'm not afraid of this type of uh, threat, because I know that I can reconnect my pieces um, in other parts of the game. As soon as I don't weaken my side, I feel confident about my strategy here. So she started pushing the pawns to have the center control. And here I just noticed that I have some ideas to take advantage of the king side being so open, to put something in the B3 G8 diagonal. And then she will have to do something about it. Otherwise, she might think to castle on the queen side. But she decided to, before completing the development of the pieces, keep pushing the pawn. And then when she pushed the pawn here, I took a lot of time to see what should I play, because I knew that if I move my knight away, I will have a check on b4 that it will cause me losing the castle, and I needed to make sure that that's something that it will not bring me more trouble. Or is instead I should also take the pawn, and then when she recapture, the pawn on e3, I also will have to move my knight away, and I will lose the castle by exchanging the queen. So when I move my knight to c4, and she just gained one more tempo, pushing my knight out from the king side, and then she did the check, I was fearless. You said, I think, well, I think even if I don't castle properly, I still can manage to move my king to f1 and g2, and then put the rook on f1. It will be like a castle, like in 3 moves, but still I will manage to have my king safe toward to the corner. So I went ahead and moved king to f1. She castled, and when she castled, she's already doing some threat here by the rook and the pawn. Because the pawn is pinned, I cannot take the pawn, and if I try to move my king away, I will lose the pawn. So I decided to push to f3. I didn't want it to push to f4 because that will give some out spot for the bishop on g4. And so she moved bishop to e6. I defend my knight, and at the same time, I create some battery toward to the h7 square. And then I decided to unpin my king. And here, you know, every single move that she does is very aggressive. So I try to pick the best square to defend the piece and then also attack. In this case, the knight didn't have any other choices, but I also could consider maybe respond with queen to b3 or a3. So she took, and then here I could take with the queen, so don't have double pawn. But I thought that if I have the double pawn, I also will free the b2 square for the bishop, and then I will have another attacker to the d4 pawn there, and I can also put my rook from a1 to d1, and then eventually try to get that pawn on d4. And then I have to, of course, so she attacked me. I move my queen back. Now I pin the pawn on d4. And then I'm trying to untangle myself on the queen side so my pieces have more activity. So she pushed, and you see she have more space advantage than me in this position. So she didn't do the trades that were convenient to me. But at the same time, when she was pushing all the pawns, she didn't, she left me some path to bring my pieces out of the out of my fortress, for saying that way. So I moved my rook c1 to get some open file or have open file here. And then my queen on e1, it will be the best square to try to go to b4 or a5. So right now here I'm threatening the knight. And blacks responded by defending with the queen, and also by making a battery with the bishop, and then threaten my pawn on e2. So I said, well, I can go queen b4, and if I lose the pawn on e2, I also can get the pawn on d4 because that bishop will be pinned. She got one more tempo to get my queen out of the fourth rank. So I still move it forward and focuses on the d4 pawn. She took, I took, and now she wants to trade pieces because she had that pawn on b2 kind of almost promoting there. If I take the queen, then even though I have the two bishops controlling the b1 and a1 square, I think I will lose some material. Besides, the rook on d8 also can go to d2, and then I will be in a disadvantage. So I went one tempo here by check, and then I decided to, oh, sorry. Okay, after check, I decided to take advantage of the discovery attack situation. So I move queen c3, so the black queen is under attack, and that queen is actually overload because it also was defending the knight on a5, And by moving queen c3, I realized that I'm threatening like 4 things at the same time. I'm threatening the queen, I'm threatening the pawn on e3, I'm threatening the knight on a5, and I'm threatening the pawn on g7. So black has to give something up in order to get rid of that. So she decided to exchange 2 pawns for the piece. So of course I get the knight here, but she found this um, variation here by sacrificing the bishop, and then the rook will get the other bishop. So at this point, she has 2 pawns for my piece, but she has the b pawn and the e pawn, you know, very close to promotion, and the rooks are very active.
Right, and if you had taken if she had taken with the if you had taken with the king, she would have had like what, queen f5 check or something
Let me see here.
after
If
bishop
I
takes
take a
f3.
weaker king, yeah, so she queen a5, and then she will get the bishop. But I just didn't like it that the queen go all the way to e2, you know, and could checkmate me there.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
queen
right.
a5, so the pawn. Once I left the queen, then the pawn e2. It was a threat, and then the rook can go to f8. So my queen will be too exposed. So I decided to capture with the bishop. Um, then queen to e5, just threatening the rook and the pawn. She gained 1 tempo. You know, one of the easiest way to get defend yourself is attacking the other person, not necessarily bringing another defender. So in this case, because 2 pieces were under attack, you better win a tempo by doing check. So the king, that's the best defense, just running to h3. Now she relocate her rook behind the e pawn and threatening my queen. I move to f4, and now the pawn on b2 is threatening my rook, and then move rook to e1, check. And you see here, I didn't feel like I was lost, even though those pawns were threatening to me and I didn't castle. I just felt that every single move that she was doing, I was improving my position by defending myself, and then the king eventually could keep going forward. And if I managed to put my bishop on the f1 diagonal, I always will have some type of thing of background checkmate there. And that's what I tried to do. When she went to queen a3, I found this variation here, bishop to h5, then rook went to d8. I recovered the pawn, and then I said, okay, so she cannot promote because bishop g6 stopped everything. And then she found this discovery attack thing.
Wow.
So rook h2. Now, if I take it, let me see if I can take it without messing up the position here.
I think
It doesn't highlight it, you know, if I go to the branch with this screen here. But like if I take it, then b1 discovery check, and then she will have a queen, and then I will lose the bishop on g6. I cannot take it. And then when I move king to g4, I still, now my bishop is preventing that pawn to promote there, and at the same time I'm threatening queen to f8, and then everything will be exchanged and simplified, and that will be an easy endgame for me. So she moved rook to g8, and then I stop everything by bishop to b1, but at the same time I'm threatening queen to f5 and checkmate on f7. So like she's like getting in a real net here. So queen to d5, and then when I'm moving here and saying, well, if you exchange my queen, we simplify, and then this is an easy endgame winning for me. If it doesn't exchange it, then checkmate on h7. So she found the h5 check. Of course, if I go to f3, if I go to f4, then she can keep checking me. So I decided to go to g5. And then when she checked me on d8, look, I keep pushing my king.
wow.
I was surprised that the king went all the way there and it still be safe. And at the same time, I'm still threatening a lot of stuff here. Then queen went to d2. And then I went to queen to f7 and threatening checkmate as well. So the idea is queen capture rook, king takes, bishop a2 check, and then when the king go to h8, rook f8 checkmate there. So she did the last check here, and then I said, well, let's exchange it. She didn't exchange it, queen d8, and then I found bishop a2. Same idea, take the queen, and then background checkmate. So she gave me the pawn. Rook to d2, threatening pin my queen on d6. And then I found rook h1, threatening checkmate h5. So when he moved rook d5, and then I won by capturing the rook. And then after this, she resigned.
Nice game. That's such a great game. If I were you, I would be showing this in a lot of classes too. I just love that game. It's so rich, so many great moments to talk about. Like it looked like, to me, I have to admit, it looked like she had a really nice position at some point, and it went astray. But your creativity in the end, just wonderful, brilliant. I think this game is so rich that we could easily take an hour talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I went a little bit too far, but I wanted just to, I went too fast to show the whole thing. But I just have to say this game lasts probably 4 hours when I was doing it, because we were playing G90 and then another hour for finishing the game, because that was the classic control. We didn't end up in time trouble. I don't remember that. But for me, was like I never feel nervous at all. So I managed to, push no castle in this position, be able to find those, defenses, and then at the end, win somebody who was 300 points more than me, and that's something that, I have lost game with players that have even 200 rated points lower than me. But as I said, everybody can have good or bad tournaments, but the most important is that you enjoy the one that you win.
Yeah, a great game. And how are your teammates? Because this is a team event, so scoring an upset in a team event is even sweeter, right?
Yes, exactly. So I don't remember if the team managed to tie this match. But yeah, by winning, we play with Germany. I think we lost the match actually, but I scored for me and for my team in this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just such a great feeling. Did you want to show one position from the Anna game? Because I think it would be nice, because then, if we don't have time to go over it in the actual class, I can just tell them to watch the video to just see the one more example of you upsetting someone, maybe just the critical position or something.
So this was a ready opening, and she replied with a King's Indians defense. So the game, Anna, she's a great player. She was U.S. A woman champion at the time. I didn't know that after the game, but she's a great player. And we, I played very careful. I did prepare some lines the night before. I remember my team managed to tie the match against USA. I was playing for Venezuela. I think my other team member, I was playing board 2, and the other team member um, were tied with the board 1, and the other one lost in board 3. But this is the critical position with Anna. Here, when I was black here and Anna white, and when she threat my knight on b4, I have the choice to play passive or defensive by moving to a6 or e6 or knight to d7, or I have the choice to go bishop to f5 and then go to the 2 pieces exchange for the rook. And as I said, she being a higher player than me, I wasn't afraid to try that line, and I decided that if I exchange the queen, that will favor her, because we know that most of the time 2 pieces against the rook are better, especially in the endgame. But when I found that my queen can be active and also try to recover one of the pawn on the queen side, I had some ideas. So she went to queen b3, also threatening my pawn on b7. She went one tempo to try to activate the dark square bishop. She got the pawn back, and I managed to pin the bishop back. And then here I realized that her pieces don't have that much what is that called,
Yeah,
synchron. Yeah,
harmony.
harmony. Like every time that she tried to activate the piece, I have a move that I can retreat that, and also my rooks, were came to the open line faster than the rook of her, the of F1 that she could not activate at all. And here, when she tried to activate the light square bishop or bringing the knight to the king side, I already had total control of the queen side, and my dark square bishop was more active, and then the rook already was in the second rank or seventh rank from my side. So when I trade pieces, then I realized the two knights were not working in efficient way together. So at any time I could give back my rook for the two pieces, and then I will have a pawn up, and that will be a winning endgame for me. And that's what I try by moving, trying to get one of those knights under attack. And then here, when she tries to go toward to the center, then my rook could go to the queen side, and then I got a pawn up, and then the knights got completely disconnected. And then here, she resigned. I think she got in a time control, but I think after pawn to b6, let me see if I can do it. She will have trouble with those knights there, because like if she go to b7, then rook d7, she will lose one of the knight there, and that's how the game ended up. But you see, she didn't uh able to she wasn't able to activate the king side pieces, and I wasn't never in danger because the position got too tight back for her.
Yeah, definitely. She would have had to probably go to e6 instead of b7, but I'm sure.
If you go e6 here, yeah, let me see if I can do it. Yeah, if e6 here, I probably could go rook to d6, and then the knight will probably go to g5. But she will lose the pawn here on a3 as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's the problem. Losing that pawn, your pawns are just going to be racing down the board. That was another great game. I was playing for the US team in that tournament, but I don't remember if I was playing this match. I think I
No, you
wasn't.
were.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. But yes, Anna, a great player. She was the US Women's Champion, and this is a important win as well. And I love your attitude. You mix it up when you're playing against higher rated players. That is a very important takeaway, because a lot of times people play more cautiously when they're playing against somebody higher rated, and it should be the opposite,
I
if
have to
anything.
say, Jen, that you beat me when we were playing in the Black Olympiad, and it was a beautiful game. Yeah, so like that would be another class, as I said, like how higher rated players don't underestimate lower rated players, because that's another subject. Many higher rated player underestimate the lower rated player, and that's what happened too, the upset.
That's a great point. Totally true. And I was always good at that. I never underestimated people. Very rarely. It was more likely that I'd be a little intimidated if I was playing somebody too high rated, or if I got into time pressure. So yeah, although my coaches told me never to offer draws, so I didn't do that, but I would get into time pressure against high rated players sometimes.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's another way it can manifest itself. But anyway, thanks again, Dr. and WIM Carolina Blanco. She's also a dentist, and she has these amazing chest braces, which are so cool. I think there's some people in the class who had a lot of questions about that. So we can find out more about that at like drcarolinablanco.com. Is that right?
Yes, that I'm working with some orthodontists here in US, more as extended duties assistant for them. I still manage to keep my clinical skills, and then I always in continue education, because being in the entrepreneurial field of orthodontics, you need to be outdated, with the latest advance. Now we are using aligners more than braces, and the artificial intelligence is taking a lot of field in the orthodontics and the dentistry as well. And now because the pandemic, there are some other things that we have to be doing with the virtual monitoring too. So, I just like to, I think orthodontic is very similar to chest because, every malocclusion has so many variations and way of treatment. And I just enjoy the way I managed to combine a little bit of orthodontics, being a business owner, also, having my elementary students here in Georgia. And also eventually playing. I'm not that active playing anymore because I think I was used to play chess more in the classical time, and those tournaments take too much time. And it's not the only to play the tournaments, the preparation before the tournament. So that's one of the reasons that I don't play active chess anymore.
But you do a lot to encourage girls and women, and we are very grateful for that. And I'm absolutely fascinated that you say there's all these, I'm not surprised, but the AI advances in dentistry and orthodontistry. Did I say that right?
The
Um,
orthodontics.
orthodontics, sorry. And yeah, that's fascinating. And it's funny because I was just reading something about Vladimir Kramnik and no castling chess. And you, because the first game you showed us, it was like a no castling game, and just the advances in AI and showing us how the game changes when you change different rules. It is completely going to change everything for the game of chess, just like it does for so many other fields, right?
Exactly,
So
it's amazing. I mean, even the software, the chess software, for preparation, I'm an old-fashioned. When I have to prepare lines, I have to read books and then be taking the latest informator, to see what's going on. Now with all the tournaments, websites online, it's amazing how many people, can take advantage of the technology.
thank you again to Dr. Carolina Blanco, who you can find out about on her website, drcarolinablanco.com. She was also on Ladies Night, so I'll link that episode in the show notes. And yes, thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for future videos. This is Jen Jihadi on behalf of US Chess and US Chess Women. See you guys next time.
Bye.